From Japan to Nova Scotia with a lab kit. Let's get one thing straight. Emma Culligan is not your average scientist buried in books and old lab coats. Nope. She's the kind of brainy powerhouse who can look at a rusty piece of metal and tell you where it came from, how old it is, and maybe even who sneezed on it 500 years ago. But don't get too caught up in that impressive title list. Engineer, archaeologist, metallurgist. Sounds fancy, but her road to that point. A whole lot messier, unexpected, and honestly more interesting than most folks would guess. She kicked off her school years in Halifax at Dalhousie thinking engineering was her thing. Turns out it kind of was, but also kind of not. She didn't stay put for long and jumped over to Memorial University in Newfoundland, where things started clicking in a much weirder, cooler way. Imagine mixing digging up ancient bones and ruins with knowing how bridges are built. That's what she did. Civil engineering mashed up with archaeology. Yeah, that actually exists. It gave her this combo of science and history that you just don't find every day. While most students were just trying to survive their courses, Emma was already elbows deep in ancient dirt working as a research assistant and learning real-deal excavation work. She wasn't just reading about old stuff in textbooks. She was out there hands-on figuring out what it all meant. That's not something you just casually do unless you're seriously into it. Now let's back it up a bit. Emma didn't grow up eating peanut butter and watching cartoons like every other Canadian kid. She was actually raised in Japan. Japanese was her first language, which is wild when you consider she didn't start learning English until she was 15. That kind of switch up messes with most people, but not her. She powered through it, and honestly it gave her this whole other way of looking at the world. And while her degrees sound super official, her first jobs were anything but glamorous. One of the first places she worked? A zoo in Calgary. She handled guests, not gorillas, but still. Imagine having to explain to angry parents why their toddler couldn't ride the zebra. Talk about people skills. From there, she slid into a government internship dealing with highways and infrastructure. Not exactly Indiana Jones stuff, but it taught her how big systems work and how to survive the endless world of public planning. Then came the material tech job at a company called Amick Foster Wheeler. Sounds like a boring gig, right? But it was where she really got into the nitty-gritty of materials. That meant testing rocks, metals, cement, anything construction needed. It might sound dull, but if you're going to build things or dig up ancient ruins without them falling apart, you better know your stuff. And she did, but 2018 changed the game. That's when she joined a company called Frontier Subsea. Basically, they explore the bottom of the ocean without breaking stuff down there. That's where her brain really got to shine. All that engineering and archaeology training? Perfect for studying underwater sites where old shipwrecks and artifacts hide. It wasn't just about treasure hunts. It was about not screwing up history while checking it out. Her work underwater didn't stay underwater for long. By 2022, she was on TV. Not just any show either, but The Curse of Oak Island. That's the kind of show where grown adults act like kids on Christmas morning every time they dig up a rusty nail. But Emma, she brought science to the circus. She joined in season 10 as an archeometallurgist. That's a mouthful, but it means she figures out what old metal things are made of and what that might say about the past. While others were guessing and waving metal around, Emma was zapping them with high-tech tools like X-ray fluorescence and X-ray diffraction. Fancy names, but they helped her figure out what was inside the artifacts without breaking them. She once took a lead object and broke down exactly what it was made of, then threw out ideas about where it came from and how old it might be. That's not just cool, it's useful. It helped the team get real clues instead of just wild stories. A mysterious copper artifact, Oak Island. It's a place that has sparked the curiosity of treasure hunters, historians, and mystery lovers for over 2 centuries. You've probably heard of it. The legendary money pit, the endless search for gold, silver, and other treasures hidden deep in the island's soil. But Oak Island is much more than just treasure. It's about strange artifacts, puzzling clues, and that feeling that no matter how much you dig, the secrets of the island are always just out of reach. Well, in Season 12, Episode 11 of The Curse of Oak Island, we get yet another twist in the mystery, and this time it's all about a fascinating copper artifact that has everyone talking. It all starts on Lot 5. Now, if you've been following the show, you'll know that Lot 5 has become a pretty hot spot for the team. They found some seriously interesting stuff here. It's near the shoreline, and it's where they've already uncovered some significant pieces, like Venetian trade beads from the 17th century, materials that match the soils from deep within the money pit, and iron tools that some believe could be linked to Sir William Phips, a British naval officer from the 1600s. Phips, famous for his treasure hunts and his connection to the wreck Conception, has long been a prime suspect in the Oak Island mystery. Could he and his crew have buried treasure here? That question is only getting more compelling with each new discovery. They're convinced Lot 5 could be the key to understanding who or what was behind the treasure. So when the team starts going through the spoils from a rounded stone foundation nearby, they're already excited, but they have no idea just how big this find is about to be. The excitement on Lot 5 ramps up when Gary Drayton, the ever-enthusiastic metal detection expert, starts sweeping his detector over a pile of spoils from a rounded stone foundation found nearby. When the detector starts buzzing, you know something important is about to be uncovered. Gary and Peter Fornetti, his trusty sidekick, dive into the pile. After a bit of digging, Gary pulls out a small copper artifact. "It's copper," he announces, clearly excited. The object is damaged, snapped in two, but what catches their attention are the rivets on the back. Gary immediately starts to speculate. Could it be part of a military uniform, or perhaps a piece from a soldier's bag? What's intriguing here is that the team has already found military-related artifacts nearby, like iron tools that some believe could be linked to Phips. Could this copper piece be more evidence pointing to Phips's involvement on the island? The team is clearly hopeful, and the conversation turns to the possibility that this artifact could be a decorative military plate, perhaps part of a belt or satchel. Gary, with his deep knowledge of military gear from the era, is convinced that this could be a clue connecting Oak Island's mysteries to some kind of military expedition. Later that day, the artifact is brought to the lab, where blacksmithing expert Carmen Legge and archeometallurgist Emma Culligan take a closer look. Carmen, a seasoned expert, agrees with the initial assessment. This looks like a belt plate, possibly even a riveted nameplate, but what truly sets the artifact apart is the composition. Emma analyzes it with the SkyScan 1273 CT scanner, and the results are eye-opening. The copper plate contains not just copper, but also zinc, iron, lead, and a surprising element: arsenic. Emma explains that the presence of arsenic could push the artifact's creation back to the 1600s. In fact, the material composition could mean that this item was made before the discovery of the money pit, more than a century before the team ever started their hunt. This is where things get really interesting. If this copper artifact truly dates back to the late 1600s, it could line up perfectly with the idea that Phips and his crew were active on Oak Island. Remember, Phips is well known for discovering the treasure-laden Conception shipwreck in 1687, recovering a massive fortune in gold, silver, and jewels. The theory that Phips and his associates may have secreted treasure on Oak Island is one that has persisted for years, and with this new find, it starts to look more plausible than ever. It's not just the artifact itself that points to Phips, but the series of finds on Lot 5. The team has already uncovered iron tools that could be linked to Phips's time, and the architecture of the stone foundation on the lot shows signs of hurried construction, perhaps an indication that something important was being hidden in a rush. Scott Clark, a researcher with a background in Freemasonry, has long believed that Phips's treasure could have ended up on Oak Island. His research suggests that Captain Andrew Belcher, a fellow Freemason, may have played a role in transporting treasure from the Conception to the island. Could this copper artifact be another piece of evidence that ties Phips and Belcher to the site? But here's the twist. Even though the clues are mounting, there's still no definitive smoking gun. The team has plenty of intriguing leads, but nothing that conclusively answers the big questions. Could this copper plate be the key to unlocking the mystery of Oak Island's treasure?